Hey, it's me, Big P, and I wanted to do a quick video showcasing the two builds that I took into the Atlas invasion. It is New Year's Eve day, but it's the day of New Year's Eve. Happy New Year's to everybody who's watching. It's going to be the last vid of the year. Be sure to like and sub, because next year is going to be full of more content like this. So the first build I'm going to show off is the Stormbrand Inquisitor. This is what I started, and I initially thought that maybe this was going to be a little bit lackluster, but it ended up being kind of awesome, and I tried a bunch of stuff on Inquisitor that I haven't done yet, like going low life, petrified blood, and yeah, let's just run a map. It's the only tier 14 map I have, you know. I kind of just got to like the last section of the Atlas, and it's been pretty smooth all the way through. I leveled and I'll have the gear. I'll go over the gear for both of the builds. But yeah, do I want to run anything? No, let's just run it as is. I had a lot of fun with the Atlas expansion, Atlas invasion, rather. So yeah, Stormbrand. Again, it's Stormbrand mixed with Orb of Storms, I would say. There's a lot of utility on the Orb of Storms that you probably don't want to miss out on. Because we are using Swift Brand, and it is sort of like you are casting the brand a lot. You have 5 max brands, and they reattach after they trigger, and they trigger pretty quickly. You're casting the brands a lot, so you might as well have a decent bit of DPS on your, whatchamacallit, on your Orb of Storms. Not even gonna loot, because after I do this video I'm gonna upload it and then finish leveling the second build to 85, and that's about it. I initially thought that Stormbrand was gonna have really bad clear, and that I would basically need an impulses for this to feel good at all in maps, but even without the impulses, like the lightning mastery that lets your lightning skills chain applies to both the Stormbrand and the Orb of Storms, which is pretty great. So I didn't need it, so this is very doable on SSF. I actually got really lucky and like dropped 2 pretty cool hunter chests that gave me spell crit. Because once you get to, I think I'm at virtually 100% crit chance. No, I think I have to be in. Yeah, I forget what the conditional crit is, but it's without everything up, it's like around 80, and then with everything else up, it's around, I mean, it goes all the way up to 100, which is exactly what you want, since you are running Inevitable Judgment, so you don't have to run any of the, let's see, how's the single target? See, not so bad, and Stormbrand is safe to DPS with. You do? Oh, we can do the invitation as well. Why not? Let's just do that. So yeah, that's. I'm gonna keep the video short. Oh, maybe we should do the metamorph as. Let's just see. Let's just throw something together. Hey. So yeah, you have a frost shield too, and that helps. Any bit of mitigation that you can have is gonna help, because I feel like I'm about to get one shot right here. You do have to be standing in the frost shield is the thing, which, you know. This reminds me of my Crackling Lance build, which used Frost Shield and Orb of Storms to great effect.
I must have time to gather my will.
But yeah, as you can see, even with the Petrified Blood, which I don't have that great. I don't have like the Gravicious ES as Life as extra ES craft or whatever. Look at that, not that bad for a tier 14. Did I drop another tier 14? Good, because I want to run that on the other build. And let's run the, what's this? Oh, it's only a 5-way, so maybe that'll show, you know, the nukage of it all. So only 2 brands can be attached to an enemy at once, so you kind of throw 2 at each. But again, it's not, you know, it's like a point-and-click adventure sort of thing. I actually really like brands. I find mechanically, I've only really used Stormbrand to like trigger for a fire burst build, which was, you know, fine, but and the multi-boss battles. I will say my other build is a totem build, so it's nice to have brands which don't die. Yeah, sure. Okay, let's go over the skills and the gear and everything. Okay, so The uniques I'm using are basically just Astramentus, because it's very simply amazing on an Inquisitor, especially because it provides a decent bit of dex to enable the use of stuff like Hypothermia and a high-level Precision and Onslaught and Ice Bite and all this stuff. So yeah, Astramentus, even in Parent League where these aren't dropping, I've got this for like a couple Chaos, or I think I bought a max rolled one for like 10 Chaos or some shit. In addition, Call of the Brotherhood. Much like my Crackling Lance build, this is kind of, you just open up so much more damage and defensive possibilities. You know, you get to freeze and chill stuff. You get to enable Hypothermia in your main links, which is still one of the best damage links ever. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Other notable pieces of gear are the spell crit chest. This could be a lot better, but this is all I got in about a week of play. Actually, how much playtime do we have? Almost a full day of playtime. So I got really lucky 6-linking this one and just kind of threw a bunch of chaos at it or whatever. This could be a lot better, but the spell critical strike base chance is pretty nice because Stormbrand only has 6% base crit. Not great. Kind of hard. Struggled a bit to get to 100% crit chance, which is what you really want. With inspiration charges and power charges from power charge on crit on the Orb of Storms, you do go up to 100. And the Frost Shield, I've actually just been leveling the Frost Shield. It's not max level. I'd kind of swap to this. I was using Sigil of Power before, but between Inspiration and maybe potentially a minus mana cost craft on rings, because as you can see, you can't completely spam. Not that you really want to anyway. You kind of want to keep moving, be it in mapping or a boss. You throw 1 or 2 down, Flame Dash to keep the Arcane Surge up. With Arcane Surge, you can kind of spam. But yeah. So, what else? Everything else is just life and res and life and res and movement speed on here and life and res. The wands have +1 the level of lightning spell skill gems, which actually aren't as good as you might think they are. It's not like a physical spell. So if you have, like, for example, things like cast speed affect the trigger rate of your Stormbrand, which will be huge for DPS. But yeah, just basically just anything like, I think I annulled something shitty off this and then put crit chance for spells, and then this I just crafted. I mean, I found these, like in early maps, level 70 and level 71, and basically got super lucky and kept them all the way through. You can go for a shield with Aegis Aurora, maybe if you want to help do the low life stuff a little more consistently. But, you know, I kind of took the soft core pill and was like, you know what, let's just run it and play it as is. And then I made a Blizzard Crown. I bought this base and just kind of landed on some good life and res. It's worth noting that the flat cold damage that you're adding here is basically only upside because your hit streak cold resistance has 10% higher. And thanks to Inevitable Judgment, even if you're not critting, it basically eliminates the downside, but really, subverts the downside of it when you're ignoring all resistances. So again, I kind of like Inquisitor for these multi-element. Any skill that uses multi-elements can kind of really use the Inquisitor Ascendancy really well. Here's a look at the tree. Some of the masteries, brands attached to a new enemy each time they activate. This helps for clear. And obviously go Runebinder. Mana reservation efficiency. I went for this. I think I can get rid of it. You can go for Corrupted Blood. I really like this. I feel like this is a really underrated little section near Inquisitor, so you don't have to go all the way down here to get yourself max. I mean, obviously that's better, but reduced effect of chill and then reduced duration of the elemental elements makes it so you don't really actually have to worry so much and like put it on your whatchamacallit, flasks. I'm pretty lazy, especially in these like week-ish long events without getting like freeze immunity or avoidance, you know, elemental ailments in general. And then, yeah, this is brand crit, 2 additional brands. Luckily, we don't have to go up here for brand equity to get 7 brands. That would stretch the tree a bit more. And then, yeah, non-projectile chaining lightning skills. Chain +1 times, as you can see, chains 1 time and chains 1 time. Pretty nice. And cast speed is, again, good. What else? I went for Doomcast and stuff over here. Probably a more fleshed out Cluster Jewel setup would be better than either this section here. Nimbleness is nice too, and we go Pain Attunement after you can get your Petrified Blood set up and whatever. I would recommend going for the Life Reservation Efficiency here, though, if you do go Petrified Blood. And I got a pretty decent lightning damage jewel, with what I think are the best ones. Snowstorm, obviously you'll need to have cold damage somewhere in your build to do that, to get that lightning damage is extra cold, and then effective lightning elements with Overshock, pretty nice. I anointed Divine Judgment, but you could also anoint Static Blows if you want to kind of boost your shock value. And yeah, that's basically it. Let's go over the gem links real quick. So we have Stormbrand, Swiftbrand, which makes it trigger a lot more. It makes it so you have to spam the brands more, but that's fine because this is build enabling damage right here. Conk Effect, because it does have an AoE tag and it's a huge... it doesn't really have coverage problems even with Conk Effect in, because it chains and it reattaches and all that shit. Hypothermia is one of the best damage links, and along with Inspiration and added Lightning. I think you could maybe take this off for... I was leveling, what, crit damage? Yeah, but maybe I can actually swap that out and that would be better damage, but that's for next build or next time I do this. I probably would do this again. It felt very consistent, you know, doable in SSF. It was pretty nice. And the secondary skill is Orb of Storms, Power Charge on crit, Ice Bite, and Onslaught. You could have an Onslaught Flask, but I like having this up because every time it hits a unique enemy, it has a chance to trigger Onslaught. So for like bossing and stuff, you know, you don't have to rely on your Flask for the Onslaught, which helps with movement speed and cast speed, which is helpful for defense and offense respectively. And then Power Charge on crit and Ice Bite. This is basically a little button that gives you the Trickster Ascendancy. You know, Inquisitor doesn't have any way of generating charges beyond that. There's probably a cluster jewel that you could get to generate the endurance charges, but I'm a softcore player who's reserving half his life, so I don't give a shit about that. Clarity, I don't think... Am I running the Clarity? No. But I should be. Did I mean to? Yeah, I don't know. You kind of have to balance the usage of... whatchamacallit? Your skills, see how much you can out-regen it and stuff like that. And then we have Zealotry and Wrath. I believe we're using... Yeah, just Zealotry. These are the... Well, let's just go from here. Herald of Thunder, Vitality, Zealotry, Petrified Blood, Precision, Determination, and Clarity. Very nice stuff. I think this is... Yeah. These are the three that I'm using with Blood Magic. Precision, Vitality, and Herald of Thunder, just because they're the lowest ones, and... I'm actually kind of over the half-life mark here, which is not ideal. And again, I don't have that much ES. I think ideally you'd want, you know, instead of crafted life, you'd want an actual good life roll, and then gain energy shield as % of max life. I think that's the Gravicious chest piece. Again, if I had more time and wanted to flesh it out more, but basically hit 90 and then kind of wanted to work into my other build. Flame Dash, Frost Shield, Arcane Surge, Determination with Petrified Blood here, Molten Shell, cast when damage taken, and that's about it. I will have a POB, and you know, you can ask any questions you want about this build. I'm trying to think, but yeah, Stormbrand, it was fun. It was actually even better than I expected it to be good, but not this good. It's pretty great, but that's Inquisitor for you. If you'll excuse me for just a second here, we'll swap into the second build that I'm doing, which I'm about to level to 85 and then call it, which is Ice Crash Earthbreaker Totems. I basically saw an opportunity to do a weird totem build. I'd never actually tried the whatchamacallit before. I haven't tried the Earthbreaker stuff yet. And most people were... Oh no. What are we gonna do? Regal it. That's fine. That's not that scary, but it's still going to be tier 14. I'm still leveling, like, my gems. They all just hit 19 and stuff. So this isn't as far along as I'm going to do, but, I mean, the next event starts in, like, an hour and a half, and then I have, you know, between these two, I have, what, like 36 hours in a week played between the two. I'm sorry I didn't do more. I wish I did more. But yeah, Earthbreaker, Ice Crash Totems, I will kind of walk around and talk about the build as I show it. I basically looked on PoE Ninja And this might be a little scary. The build is a little bit slower in terms of... It's got good coverage though, especially now that I have move overlap. You know, if you're not used to totem builds... well, I don't know, don't play this one because I'm using a bunch of totems. I like the fact... I prefer Ice Crash over Consecrated Path for a number of reasons. But it is, you know, worth understanding that you don't get the funny meme of the Consecrated Path totems like jumping around. So you have to be more aware of where your totems are actually being placed in terms of coverage, which might be an issue for some people. But it's not that bad. Once your totems are down, they have great coverage. I'll go over more of the mechanics. God, I'm getting ganked too. Alright, let's see. So yeah, those sure are crashing, huh? Hope I don't die here. Oh, that's a big freeze. Do I want to log? I kind of want to log. Let's log. It's so dumb. I don't have any like ailment resistance. I didn't roll my flasks on this one either. And I just kind of want to hit 85 and then call it here. So, who's this guy? Oh, they follow you. They just spawn back onto you, I guess. Okay. There we go. Yeah, this build is a little bit. Oh my. Whoa. Why am I? Oh wow. Well, if you'll drop a map, sure, I'll do that. Sure. So yeah, you have to be kind of aware of the totem placement, especially considering that Ice Crash as a skill, if you're not familiar, does more damage on the initial... Well, here, I'll show you. It has 1, 2, 3. Like, 1, 2, 3. 3 stages of area of effect. Hey, it's pretty good. When I talk about the gems, I'll talk more about why I prefer it. Oh, this is a Brutus-led Sprinkler build, by the way. Strength stacker. Almost 1,000 strength here. Basically, I just kind of took a look at PoE Ninja, saw that an opportunity to try a build that I'd never done before. I'd never done really any Chieftain totem builds since the rework, and just generally kind of, I don't say I dislike totems, but there's just so many other build archetypes that I like better. But I am a big Ice Crash fan. I think some of my favorite builds, probably my favorite melee skill, I would say. But the worst thing about it is kind of a longer attack time. You know, this Ice Crash since was reworked into one of those big, heavy, weighty slams that take a lot of time to do because they have a satisfying amount of damage, both on the gem and in terms of added damage effectiveness, which is pretty much the only reason I'm doing Ice Crash over Consecrated Path like most other of the strength stackers are doing. Ouchie, ouchie. But I mean, that's just, you know, you could, the whole point of an Earthbreaker setup is you can kind of throw whatever slam you want in there. And I very much like the, oh, there you go. Couldn't escape that with the death in that. Yeah, I mean, I have a tabula because ideally you would be using the, whatchamacallit, I believe it's Iron Fortress that makes your strength give 3% increased physical damage instead of just 2. Let's just do the boss. It's really better at bossing. It's kind of a shitty mapper. I haven't played a mapper this shitty in quite a while. And it's not even like a shitty mapper. It's just that there's a slight delay, even with multi-strike on the totems, in terms of you placing the totem and then the damage actually happening. Oof. Game's pretty nice though. And again, it's like the sort of build that you can safely DPS with. Probably wouldn't run this in something like the upcoming Delirium thingy. Please? Hello? Okay. Yeah, it's just kind of fun and satisfying to get, you know, what's better than one Ice Crash? Free Ice Crash. And you can kind of like pre-fire them if you know, like for example on this boss, like oh he's gonna show up here, and then I guess it is worth mentioning, because I'm not running Consecrated Path, you do have to be way more aware of your totem placement, because the totems won't just follow. They're going to stay where you put them. And, you know, so it is possible to have virtually 0 DPS if you're not careful about where you place the totems. Not to mention that before I went Blood Magic Mortal Conviction with the Tukahamas Fortress, mana costs were kind of an issue, and I wasn't really sure how to solve them, since you are a totem build, so you can't deal any damage, you can't leech life. But yeah, I kind of was just in the middle of figuring this all out, and ended up pretty good. I don't know if I would... You'd probably need to do this a little bit more... It's kind of a weird use case of this skill, because it's, you know, the weird week-long unique, super unique heavy league. So, for example, like I was able to buy this for like 2 chaos, or maybe like 5 chaos for like a really good roll on the attack speed. And then Crown of Eyes was also super cheap. This was like 5 chaos. Alberon's Warpath as well, and Medjinord's Vice and Diad Dawn aren't actually that good, but you know, they're just what I had laying around and was able to get through. And I'm sharing the Astromantis between my 2 builds, because guess what? This is also good for a actual strength stack build and not just for the Inquisitor. So let's go over. So Ice Crash. Why Ice Crash over Consecrated Path? So let's go over just on those top areas. So attack, obviously this actually scales up, so this is a terrible comparison, but at the max level, the effectiveness of added damage versus Ice Crash. Ice Crash has better attack base damage and effectiveness of added damage. Definitely a slower attack speed, but it doesn't really matter because it's your totem doing the attack, not you. You're not in any danger there. And Brutus Lead Sprinkler adds a bunch of flat fire damage. That's just better utilized on Ice Crash because of the effectiveness. It's like it gets, I think it's around like 50-60% more at max level. So yeah, I just wanted to give that a try. Consecrated Path might overall feel better as a mapper and maybe just overall smoother, but I really didn't mind, you know, just paying attention. Once you get the blood magic going, I mean, or if you have other ways of generating mana, I'll go over that when I go over the tree and the gear. You can kind of just throw them down wherever. It's worth noting, though, that you shouldn't spam them like this. You know, throw down your ancestors with multiple totems to power them up, and then let them do at least the first, if not the third, repeat of the skill. They are linked with multi-strike, which you really kind of want, honestly. Otherwise, they're painfully slow, and it's definitely going to be noticeably clunky while mapping and embossing. So Earthbreaker lets you put any slam on a totem. Fire Penetration, this would probably be replaced with crit if I actually was able to go full crit. You have a decent crit strike chance with the base Lead Sprinkler. I think the highest you can roll is like 8.5 or something like that. But you need better gear. You need probably a better cluster jewel setup, and maybe you'd need to go... I'm only 84 right now. There's like crit, multi-stuff here and here, or crit chance and multi, but you know, that gear is kind of hard to come by, especially as you're just throwing the build together on the fly. So I found that elemental damage with attacks. Another cool thing about Ice Crash is, though, even though we have a pretty relatively measly amount of physical damage, it converts 100% of it to cold without just on the gem, and so that enables hypothermia, which again 29% more damage with hits and ailments. So, you know, this isn't a quote-unquote ignite build, but there's a decent chunk of ignite damage there, especially from the crits. I mean, we are a chieftain, so you get a base chance to ignite here, and fire dot multi, but, you know, that's not really... It's not an ignite build, but you get to do some ignite damage, which is made better by hypothermia. And then multi-strike. It's really slow without the multi-strike. Actually, can I show? Let's see the difference between hey yo. So that's with multi-strike. 1, 2, 3, and then let's take out multi-strike and see how bad it is. Yeah. So I don't know. You really want multi-strike. I think it's just so much better, both in terms of damage when you get that third hit out. Like a lot of times people have issues using multi-strike themselves because you'll like get stuck in the animation. Well, you can't get stuck in the animation, but that's suboptimal DPS because your first 2 repeats don't do as much damage as the last one, and yada yada yada. Let's go over the other stuff. So I'm running 2 Kahoma's Fortress just because +1 totems is huge for the build, and whatchamacallit, and it also solves the mana issues by making it blood magic. However, that means you can only run 1 aura. I've kind of been swapping between these as I needed. For example, like in early maps, I was using Purity of Elements before I was res capped without it. And if I'm running Lab, I swap to Vitality just so the traps don't kill me. Side note, Lab in Atlas Invasion is super fucking scary. Like, Shaper and Atzuri, like, in the halls between Izaro is fucking terrifying. So yeah, Vitality there. And then Anger isn't as good as Precision when you're a crit build, particularly because I'm not sure if Totems can miss, but without Precision, we're at 73 chance to hit and 62, and then it goes up to 90 and 80, which also isn't that good. Imagine maybe I don't actually know where else we would be able to get up to 100% chance to hit unless you go Resolute Technique, but then you obviously can't be crit, which leaves a lot of damage on the table, which is kind of unfortunate. So yeah, I was like swapping between Purity of Elements. I just kind of had whatever. The gems aren't 100%. I was just using Consecrated Path builds for reference and inspiration. So we have Ancestral Warchief with multiple totems and combustion, just because getting the fire res down. I'm not sure how consistently this is actually working, but just Ancestral Warchief brings up your DPS by a decent bit. Let's see, actually, yeah, so we're at 38 here. 2 of them come up, and you go to 57, so it's a pretty huge chunk. They're not doing that much damage themselves. Oh, a decent bit, actually. So yeah, when everything is up, I don't know how conditional it is. Not to mention that Ice Crash itself deals different damage depending on what part. Well, first off, there's the multi-strike that has 3 parts, and then each strike of that multi-strike has 3 waves as it crashes out. So yeah, good luck calculating that in Path of Building. There's Anger, Vitality, Pulverize I was using in Links, but I forget why. I think I don't know. I think it was just a little bit too slow because it brings up the area of effect. But you actually get a lot of area effect, especially with this last one. Area of effect is really nice on Ice Crash because it will actually actively affect how your DPS comes out. We have cast and damage taken, Molten Shell, and Flammability. You can keep this pretty high. I've kept around level 60. You can probably go a little bit higher, but the build is pretty tanky with 5k life, even though I'm using Tabula Rasa. And I would use, if I had more time or invested in it more, Ironheart, which you can use the Prophecy to get Iron Fortress. What else? So Leap Slam. Leap Slam faster attacks is the movement skill. However, because we are ancestrally bonded, we can't deal damage ourselves. So the normal things like Fortify or Endurance Charge on melee stun, you can't use, but you can generate Rage. However, don't do what I do and get yourself killed because you're focusing on like leap slamming on stuff. Meanwhile, your totems are like dead, and then they're not actually doing any damage. It's just a little bit of move speed and attack speed that will affect you. And what else do I have here? That's pretty much it. I could go over the gear, but it's like pretty boilerplate stuff. We are a strength stacking build because of Brutus Lead Sprinkler. So we get the boots that boost the strength. We get the Astromentus for a huge amount of flat attributes. We boost attributes. We boost the strength here, and you are able to go Iron Will and then apply that strength damage from the spell damage using Crown of Eyes. Pretty class. This is a really like solid setup. It feels like the sort of thing that's like gonna go unchecked for like a couple patches, and then there will be like one build that just absolutely blows it out of the water, and then GGG will notice and nerf it. So give this a try. If not for this build, then any other sort of strength stacking build. There's a number of them out there. And yeah, the tree is a little bit, I mean, you basically go for the totem wheel here, and then there's like a bunch of shit here. Should be noted if you're not going to use Tucum's Fortress, you can go into the Reservation Mastery here, so you can use stuff like Determination. I think I also had Determination up. Yeah, I was loving that. You can swap between the auras, because unfortunately we can only use one aura because we get Blood Magic and Mortal Conviction on the shield. I've just opted for Precision instead. So I will mention the Totem Masteries. Well, first off, the Mace Masteries kind of suck for this build. I didn't end up taking any. The Totem Masteries are pretty huge, though. Increased global crit chance if you summon a totem recently. That's basically always up. 5% of damage taken from hits helps the build feel even more tanky. It doesn't really actually kill your totems because your totems are leeching. Or are they leeching, actually? I don't know. No, you leech based on your totem's damage, which is cool. But the big one, especially for the Ice Crash variant, is totems taunt enemies around them for 1 second when summoned. Not everybody was using this, but I found that the build, it was like night and day, honestly. If not just because the more mobile bosses and more mobile packs, like stuff that ignores, like let's say it's like, oh, a pack's here. If it chases you and runs away from the totems, they're obviously not going to be able to hit it. So taunting them keeps them kind of in an area where the Ice Crash can get them all. And then what else do we got? Nothing else really. I ended up going up into the Shield Mastery here. Glancing Blows is just a little bit extra, but I needed to get a lot of elemental resistances. This is kind of SSF-ish. I don't have a lot of time to craft good rare gear. And then also went into here for the elemental resistances as well. And yeah, that's about it. I mean, I don't really have anything else to say much. I don't know if I would kind of recommend this for general use in like an actual league. It's kind of like a weird example of like a bunch of these uniques that are normally kind of more expensive. You could probably do this as a second build. They were super cheap, and I just wanted to try something out. I've been using the events as like a place to test a bunch of builds that I've kind of just been curious about, but never actually felt like investing in. So yeah, if you have any questions about these two builds, let me know in the comments here. I'll have timestamps just for pretty much the two of these. And yeah, I mean, this video is already super duper long and no one's going to watch it anyway because this event ends in like 3 days and then these characters are voided, so I can't reference them. But I just wanted to do the video to have a sort of reference for the YouTube channel. So yeah, thanks for watching. Happy New Year, and I will see you in the next one.